Welcome to Star Quality, everybody. I'm your host, Stevie Goldstein. Welcome back. And I am joined by one half of a duo you probably are familiar with. We have Ophira Edut here from the Astro Twins. What hasn't Ophira done? Astrologer for Elle Magazine, co-founder with the brand Astro Style, over 20 books written, no big deal. And we are we're here to talk about your latest book, The Astrology Advantage. Use your horoscope for personal and professional success. I got to read it and get my own I am system archetype done. So welcome. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you. It's good to be back with
It's
you, hanging and
yeah.
talking stars.
I know. Yeah, we chatted back in January 2022 on What's Your
Oh my
Sign.
God, it's been that long.
I
Wow.
know, like just a whole different era. I'll put a link to that episode for you guys too if you want to revisit time, because that's what we do with astrology. We're like, what was my life like then? And it's always so funny with like astrology readings. If you like ever get them recorded and look back and you're like, who was that person? They have totally different set
Right.
of problems. They have a totally different set of like influences going on. So yeah, before we really deep dive into the book, I'm just curious, like, how are you and how's the astrology of 2024 been treating you?
It's the year of the dragon. And as a Sagittarius, I like that Mars Aries associated energy. I'm a rat, so the dragon is compatible. But I mean, it's been one heck of a year. But
Mm-hmm.
the water rabbit of 2023 energy was a little damp for my liking.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm liking this wood energy, the growth of 2024. But it is quite a crazy, unpredictable year, especially with that April 8th eclipse that we went through. I mean, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
every month when I'm writing a monthly horoscope, I'm like, yeah, so there's this one day that's gonna be crazy. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm here for the ride.
Yeah, yeah. 2024, I feel like so far has felt like this strange, maybe because the twin energies in my mind, like a weird twin of 2023, like with weird being like the word of the year too. Like
Here it
I'm
is. Mm-hmm.
curious if any of the astrology's been tracking or surprising or both in terms of, since we're right now in August of 2024.
Yeah, we had a ton of the predictions in our book come true, from an assassination attempt on a world leader to a crypto comeback to the Biebers getting pregnant,
Oh, yes, yes, I remember that one. That was, I mean,
and the Bennifer breakup too. So,
mhm.
the only one that hasn't happened yet, but who knows, was like a little rocky patch for Beyonce and Jay-Z. But
Mhm.
they keep it all behind closed doors anyway. I hope they're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. They're an interesting mutable pair, and
Yeah.
I'm sure it all will transmute into some sort of like art project that's a collaboration if and when those things transpire.
They are a composite super Libra. We have our book Super Couple, and we did their composite chart on
Ooh.
there. And like
Oh, that's
everything comes into Libra. So, I mean,
hey.
that's an incorporation at this point that,
Hmm. Yeah, you're like, hopefully you're just like happy in the bedroom, in the boardroom, all the all the
Absolutely.
places. Um, So the I am system and the astrology advantage, I love it. Thank you for inventing something new, which is not shocking as from one innovator to another. Um,
Mm.
I would love to just hear about, yeah, like where did this come from? The idea to come up with something that's taking, the systems of astrology, but making a new archetype system. I love archetypes. I love Jungian stuff. I love all the
Yeah,
references that you gave in the book, that kind of what this is like the baby of. And yeah, I'd love to know, how did this, what inspired
absolutely.
you guys?
Absolutely. And I really think Jung is behind a lot of all of these archetyping things. I've been listening to an audiobook about the Myers-Briggs
Mm,
history and how it was invented by a mother and daughter. And the mom was a Capricorn who uh, wrote erotic fiction about Jung after
Oh
she
wow.
discovered his. Yeah, so she was
Oh
totally
my God.
inspired by him. So, and he was inspired by astrology. So,
Mm.
let's just all like put aside our peer-reviewed bullshit right now. It's all about astrology. No. Uh,
Open up your mind.
yeah, with that prelude, so for years we've been doing charts and then doing group coaching, helping people launch their businesses and their passion projects and the lives they actually want to be living instead of the ones that they're
Mm,
existing in and going through the motions of. And,
preach.
I don't need to tell you or anyone listening that astrology is one of the best tools for guidance, but it's one of the hardest ones to use because it's its own language, it has its
Hmm.
own hieroglyphics and alphabet. And when you download it, you're good. But until that code gets downloaded, it's really hard to remember. So we
Hmm.
wanted to do something to help cure that frustration so people could tap into that. So I mean, you could say we invented a way of talking about it, but we're really just using the chart dominance. Are you predominantly cardinal, fixed, or mutable? And then fire, earth, air, or water. So it's an old hack of astrologers with, you
Yeah.
know, as I've been building our business, I've had to learn a lot about tech and prototyping and the MVP, the minimum viable product. So
Oh,
yeah, I know. Just
yeah.
all the nerdy things I've had to do to keep working as an astrologer in the 21st century. So, the minimum viable product in tech talk is when you like if you're going to develop an app, you probably
Hmm.
know this. You like instead of building the whole thing out, you just do the bare essentials, test it out and see if it works.
Hmm.
So, this
The
is our
UX, the QA of it all.
all those like they always have acronyms,
The
there's
beta
letters,
groups and market research and
all that obnoxious stuff. But I thought, what if you could kind of it's like
we'll leave that
it's
to the authorities.
we'll leave
Maybe.
that to the authorities. Like without getting douchey here,
Yeah.
I thought, well, we kind of need to MVP astrology for people who are, you can only concentrate. You can either concentrate on deep dive learning astrology or deep dive launching a business, but it's really hard to do them at the same time. Like if you're trying to get in shape,
Yeah.
like you either exercise or you change your eating habits. But if you try to do both at once, you lose your willpower and you just kind of
Mm,
give up. So I was
hmm.
drawing on all those kind of things that I've
Yeah.
learned over the years and thought, let's make a tool. Um, and then also you look at the chart, when you look at the chart dominance, it looks like a spreadsheet instead of the
Hmm.
circle. Which when
Yeah.
people see it, even the skeptical people, they're like, oh, that's what that is. So
Hmm.
that's the long, short story of it.
I love that. Yeah, and as we'll get into the different types as well, the three types, but I'm a Taurus, and so I really enjoy that this is really practical, applicable. There's so many different realms in terms of I mean, I'm gonna put links to everything for everyone. So please get this book. Like truly, especially if you're an astrology fan, but like the astrologies, like the kind of lawyer speak of astrology is overwhelming because I think that freezes people a lot of the time
Mm-hmm.
getting further into astrology and I feel bad when like you mentioned like it being laid out in a grid sometimes you'll see like you got to know your circle chart or you're not doing astrology and it's like I know why we advocate for that but also I started with a grid to look at my chart like you start with I just want to be able to read this like I just want to be able to get my foot in the door of astrology and I think this is just so applicable to relationships, work, style. You had home layout in there. I'm going to send this to my interior design mom. She's going to be obsessed with this.
Oh, awesome.
Parenting styles, like it's just very applicable. And I'll put the link, but if you go to astrostyle.com/IAM, you can get your type there. So should we go over the types?
Yeah, let's go over the types. And just to your point about the astro elitism that's out there. Like, I am
Mm-hmm.
all like, please get a PhD or beyond. You can. There is
Yeah.
really that
Go
much to
nerd
learn
out.
about astrology, and I'm all for it. But like, I don't like the tyranny of it. Like when people discover all the layers of it and then they start these kind of wars about what real astrology is or
Mm-hmm.
which house system. It's like, oh, FFS, people, like it just doesn't matter. Is this useful? Is this helping you?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, we're all gonna have like different denominations of our astrological practice, and some of us are gonna be, devout purists, and some,
right.
like there's nothing wrong. I think there's nothing wrong with what level you want to be in, and also your levels can change throughout time if you want to get more devout or lighten up. Because some
Hmm.
people, can get really they don't want to make any move without astrology to a point where they're limiting themselves. And I think what's great about these archetypes too is, I mean, speaking of like modalities, that just offers a totally different layer. Like I know for me as a Taurus who's an innovator, an Earth innovator from your archetype series for the IM series, I get bogged down with authority tasks a lot of the
Yeah.
time being a Taurus. But
Yeah.
reading through this, I was like, thank you. Someone sees me. Someone
Oh,
sees that
good.
cardinal queen. And that, like, I mean, I can do the authority things, but it's almost like I find myself getting stuck in those kind of like blah remedial roles when I don't want to do that at all. And like you said,
Love
like
that.
choosing to design our life versus kind of being accepting the one that we just were placed into, which I think can happen a lot of the time.
Oh, it happens all the time. And yeah, so how the system works and why I'm
Yes.
so excited that you're getting what you're getting out of it is that a lot of the times we're left with like, well, I can't learn my whole chart, so I'll just work on my sun sign, which is
Mm-hmm.
fine. It's great. I love writing sun sign horoscopes, but you're a Taurus, right? That's a fixed sign, or as we call authority. I'll explain that in a second. And you're saying like you get stuck doing fixed things because you're a
Mm-hmm.
Taurus. Now, your sun sign I think of as the main character in the movie of your life. It matters. It has a starring role, but it's flavored by your chart dominance, and that's what we find in the IM system. We took we kind of put your whole chart in a blender. We took your sun, moon, rising, all the planets from Mercury to Pluto, and the north and south nodes. 13
Mm-hmm.
points. Yes, it's arbitrary, but you can make your own system if you don't like it. Just kidding.
Well, yeah, or yeah, go ahead and make your own,
Um,
but you did
right,
it.
right.
So
There were, why not Chiron moments, but like,
no, I
so
enjoyed the what you included too, and I think that was something I looked at and saw as well. It's like, oh yes, like I think the nodes when we think of purpose is really
yeah.
valuable there, and also, the outer planet discussion of like, does this carry this much weight? Doesn't it's like, well, it's still a bunch of cardinal in my chart, so how could it? How could it not?
Exactly. Exactly. So from those 13 points, you score your chart and you can see how many are in cardinal, fixed, and mutable signs. And we rename those because those are still astrologies, as you said. I love
Mm-hmm.
that. You're so good at coming up with names. So we we renamed Cardinal Innovator because those are the signs that start every season. So if you have a lot of Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn in your chart, you're going to be predominantly cardinal, which would make you an innovator. I'm one too. I have six. And then the fixed signs are the ones that are in the middle of every season. They are the builders and sustainers. The innovators are the visionaries. And then mid-season signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, we call the authorities because
Mm-hmm.
they like things in this sort of this is how it's done. Um, this is the step-by-step way of doing it, and they have to be that way because let's just say the innovator plants the seeds and then the authorities come and tend to the crops to make sure
Mm-hmm.
everybody can eat. At the end of the season, when the mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, who we've called the mavens because they're such multi hyphenates, they're so good at everything, they
Mm-hmm.
pick the crops and then make a feast and bring everyone together around the table. They create the playlist, they create a bar and cocktails, and, you
Mm-hmm.
know, they bring everybody together. So now we all have a certain amount of innovator, authority, or maven in our charts. Not all. Actually, some people have zero. I've
Oh wow.
seen. It's rare, but I've seen it. Um, and sometimes when you have zero or you're low, then you'll compensate for that. And like
Mm.
you'll, so I'm six innovator, four authority, and three maven, and we have yours too. You
Yeah, I'm a
are
6 innovator, 4 maven, and 3 authority.
okay. Oh yeah, you're the same as me. Oh no, sorry, you're
Yeah,
just a
like we're
mix, a
just
little
flipped with our
combo,
maven
flipped.
authority.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're lowest on it. So isn't that interesting? So
Right.
Taurus is one of the authority signs. And you are a Taurus, there's no denying.
If you listen to
But
the show, you know I'm a fucking Taurus.
you're a fucking Taurus.
Tied and true.
Yep. Yep. But this is meant to tap into kind of the same thing that a personality test like Enneagram or Myers-Briggs would. Like the whole
Hmm.
your core drivers, your triggers, what motivates you, what are your sort of psychological tendencies. And because I'm fascinated by that. And people love
Yeah,
personality tests. So I was like,
I
let's do
love
the
quizzes.
MVP. Let's do that. Yeah. So here you are, lowest on authority, and then highest on innovators. So you get to be a Taurus innovator. So you get to, you are, I mean, now you have your own show, and that's very
Yeah.
innovator, right?
Hmm. Yeah, it's a new thing. And that was one of my questions for you too, because I think what's great in the book, there's all the different combinations in terms of like both work relationships and dating relationships and how we're all trying to coexist and function. As I always jokingly say, astrology and for better or worse makes you a more empathetic person, even if you're like, oh damn it, now I understand how other people are thinking and feeling. But yeah, I'm curious. This is a maybe since this is applying to me as a now like solo innovator, I've worked in group projects my whole life. I'm a very 11th house person, which I feel like also really neatly ties into being very future focused as an innovator. But I'm curious as a solo innovator right now with this new project that I'm nurturing. Yeah, I'm curious any from the IM system, any advice for a innovator working on their own and maybe not having the support of a team.
Absolutely. So, I mean, in some ways, it's freeing for innovators
Mm,
because innovators are always kind of ideating and blueprinting things. And what we say in the book is that, innovators are sometimes building the plane while they fly it, or they're
mm.
visualizing something like it's kind of like you can imagine a lot of innovators look up when we're talking because we almost have this like movie screen over our heads. We're like
Uh-huh. Like a
downloading.
channeling.
Yep, yep, we're bringing it in. So sometimes a team can slow an innovator down in the early stages of a project because people want to too quickly structure stuff
Mm,
or they need it explained. And you're like, I can't explain it because I'm just testing it out and making it. So in the beginning stages, it could be freeing. But once you kind of find yourself in a groove and a rhythm, then it's time to maybe bring in a nice authority to take
mm-hmm.
some of the tasks off of your hands so that you can build and scale because you get bogged down in that authority minutia that you mentioned earlier. So
Mm-hmm.
learn it and then make an SOP, a standard operating procedure document, video your screen capture of yourself doing the task, make a
Like this is how I want
manual.
this done. So
Yes.
just follow this exact thing.
Yep, exactly. Give people your recipes, your cookbook
Mm,
of how to do it, and then watch them. You know, we innovators, it's okay if you're helicoptering a little bit because you do need
thank
innovators
you.
are very personality driven.
Hmm.
As an innovator, we have a personality driven brand. We did that just for fun, but like we have Astro Twins and Astro Style as our website, but the Astro Twins thing keeps kind of bubbling to the surface. If I knew what I knew now in 2002, I might have done it a little differently, but
But you keep on innovating. So
keep
there
on innovating. Yes, yes. But,
the latest
you know,
software update of the Astro Twins Astro Style universe continues to grow.
exactly. But it's really always remained important that there are the faces of me and my sister and voices and person. It makes
Yes.
it hard to delegate because if it even sounds a little bit like we didn't write something, people would
Mm.
write in like, are you
Oh
having someone
wow.
else write this for you?
Oh my
Like,
God.
whoa.
Wow,
It's cool.
it's like no.
Like,
Yeah, how
no,
is it
it's
being to I know we've talked about on when I interviewed you before about, sharing your chart with a twin, as an interesting astrological experience. But now as two innovators as well as this new
yeah.
shared archetype, how is that as a team?
Yep. And that's
Sorry,
one of the
Tolly's not here to
fun
defend her innovator self.
to defend herself. I get to
But
say
the
whatever
floor
I
is
want,
yours.
right?
Yeah.
Love it. Well, we do have a chapter in the book about team building, what happens when you work together or when you're heavy on on one thing. So it can, we know that sometimes it can be too much of a good thing with two
Mm.
innovators.
Mhm.
Right now, I'm kind of focusing on the launch of this. She's focusing a little bit on our 2025 book. So we're both in
Mm.
high ideation mode right now as we get ready for that. So it can be a little bit frazzled
You're both
sometimes.
like innovating in the realms that need to be innovate continue that like
Yes.
nurturing.
Yes, but innovators are mostly cardinal signs, and cardinal signs like to be the boss. So what can happen is it can become a power struggle with two
Mm.
innovators, too many cooks, or like everybody has to be the master chef. So we
Right.
we developed something that we call the how conversation, so that we give each other the space to kind of spread out and ideate, because she would bring an idea or I would bring an idea, and we'd be quick to be like, that won't work, and then the
Oh.
other one would get pissed off. So we give each other like a space to talk about how it could work.
Oh,
And
okay. When I'm telling you this interview and book has come into my life at the perfect time. And this just like I'm like seeing past conversations as far back as childhood right now that could be like maybe not solved, but maybe have gone smoother from just being like, let me dream. Let's
oh
go
yeah,
there. And actually, if you ask me how, as an innovator, at least I think I can find the way of like, well, this is how, or if I actually do have that room that you mentioned that innovators might need to have that daydreaming time, it's like, oh, actually, how the fuck would I do that? Like now maybe I'm gonna
right.
need to call on a team of authorities and mavens or whoever, and
Yeah.
yeah, not get like too lost in the innovation sauce.
I would recommend starting with the Maven, because they love to
Mm,
color code stuff. We have a Maven on our team who came over here. Um, we were doing I think it was a big book launch, but we were doing it differently and more expansively. She brought all her post-its, her calendar on the wall for the
yeah.
whole year. She's a color-coded bookshelf behind her when you get on a call. Jill is her name, and um she will organize me without limiting me.
Mm,
Bringing the authority sometimes last, or just as a silent transcriptionist. But my our financial advisor is an authority, and I just had to when I get too close to a launch, I have to cancel meetings with him because it
like
gets
too
too
real.
rigid. Yeah. It's like I gotta puke all over this room, and you are already here with a bucket and a mop. Okay.
uh,
I haven't even done the jello shot that's going to make me puke yet.
I'm
Terrible metaphor.
no, I'm with you. I'm married to an authority is also what I've
Ooh.
found out. And I was looking back at our wedding vows because I was like, what did we promise each other? I mean, I kind of remembered it, but we have it in like a doc. So I was like, let me go back. And he part of his vows was I will never let stasis enter our lives was a clip. And for mine was
Ooh.
like, I'll be patient. And then I also just complimented how hot he is, was like the rest of my vows. And I was like looking through your book and I was like, oh, like we actually did promise each other the medicine we need as our various authorities, which is just that was
That is
a cute
perfect. What is his
anecdote.
sun's sign?
He's so fixed. He's a Leo sun, Aquarius moon, Taurus rising, and
Oh,
then
wow.
mutable Virgo, pretty much everything. He's a closet Virgo, essentially.
Okay. Okay. Well, isn't that interesting? So he's fiery
Mm-hmm.
and authority. But yes, stasis is the libido killer for the innovator. So
No, yeah.
he knew how to get you to the altar, because it's not easy to get an innovator there either. We really cherish our own company. I was going to spend New Year's Eve by myself this year, and I heard myself say that, and I was like, no, 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 I'm going to revise that. I'm spending it with myself. To me, as an
Oh,
innovator, that made a lot of sense. But
yes.
um, for
it,
an
it didn't feel like
authority,
a
yeah,
situation like put upon you. It was like it's always I
it's
think
like a
about like that
gift.
search for choice.
Yeah. Whereas a maven would be like, oh no, because I need someone to process every minute counting down to the next calendar year with, and to talk about it. Mavens are mirrors, they need a companion.
Yeah.
And so it can be a little exhausting. I like to dial up Ben Affleck and J-Lo. He's an innovator. She,
Mm.
because we don't know her rising sign, is either an authority or a maven. So I'm like, she was either way too rigid and structured, like once they moved in and he needed to escape to his bachelor pad, or she was like the maven that needed to always be like the salt and pepper shakers. And it was like, yo, I gotta go write the next Goodwill Hunting. Okay. Like I'll
Yes.
come out like seasonally, but I'm in a me season. So innovators shouldn't always live with other people, especially those that
Ooh.
demand our attention.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Um, I'm curious. So, and then just to recap for my people, because I love breaking it down simple. So,
Please.
innovators are cardinal, authorities are our fixed signs, and mavens are our mutables. And again, that's going to be on the like grid add up IM calculation. So, check
Yep.
yours. I'm curious, were there other names that were like considered for these types, or was it pretty like out the gate, like this is them, I connect with this? I'm curious if there was any outtakes for the
Yeah,
names.
total outtakes. And I just want to note that there are also three hybrids. You could be
Oh, yes, there
like
are hybrids.
Taylor Swift, for example, is like 661, or you could be
Mm,
like 553 or something like that. So we have the
hmm.
three hybrid types too. But yeah, actually it came to me. Um, I was using just the chart. I used to call it chart your chart. Not doesn't even you can't even it's like can't even say that without it
Chart your chart. I know
sounding
there.
like
It's unfortunate with astrology that chart isn't that like sexy of a
no.
word, you know. And then the other danger of astrology is there's just so much corny language that we can
So
end up in.
corny.
So
Star
it's a
power.
tightrope.
Yes, yes, yes. So yes, so it was not happening, but I actually literally I woke up right as Uranus was shifting out of Aries into Taurus. It was like 1:30 in the morning in 2017, I think.
Yeah.
And it just kind of came to me like I was like, I am. It's just like I heard it in my head. I was like, and I was just like, I'm quick with an acronym. I think it's a SAG thing. I was like, and they
Yeah.
just the name just came to me. I was like, ooh, we called innovator influencer for a while, but
Mm.
then
Then
TikTok ruined it. And so yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say if this all was sort of percolating in that Uranus Taurus ingress, like influencer culture shifted greatly even from
True.
2017, 2018 to now. I mean, now they're content creators. They've
Right,
ended.
right. I know I'm low on Maven, so I was like, actually, Mavens are really suited to be that kind of influencer. So went with the
Hmm.
innovator. I think it really captures the spirit of
Yeah.
people who fit the description. Yeah.
Yeah. Cardinal's very pioneering. I always think of like cardinal innovators as like you said, of this starter. The authorities are the closers, right? And then mutable mavens are like, put me in, coach. Like, where can I
Right. Or the
assist?
marketers, the brand ambassadors of the
Hmm.
things. Hmm.
Yeah, and they're I'm curious too because I love how so much of the book has I mean, you guys, it's so useful. Like I'm gonna reread because there was like a lot of
Yay.
really applicable advice that I'm about to I mean, there was even just stuff about like me having breakfast where I was like, how do they know like that I like can sit at my desk for all hours because I get lost in thought and then I like wake up and I'm like, oh, I like didn't care for my body today because I just went into like this
Oh,
innovation
innovator.
chamber.
Yeah.
And so there's so much really, really good practical, applicable advice. But I'm curious for each type, the I am, the innovator, authority, maven. I'm curious, maybe a keyword or two for purpose, because I have a lot of folks
Yeah.
come to me a lot of times, of course, for work and love, but so many people like just want to like, what am I here for? Like beyond money, beyond status, beyond maybe even other people, like in a kind of north node sort of sense, if that
Yeah,
makes sense. Like I'm
totally.
curious what soul purpose keywords maybe come up what for each type, if you have a word or two.
Yeah, innovator, I think visionary, um, definitely creating new paradigms, just culture shifters. Authorities, purpose is really is legacy, contribution,
Mm-hmm.
impact. And then Maven is um creativity, entertainment, education. and just dissemination of the wisdom, because mavens make it palatable. We need our cliff notes. We need our abridged editions for this thing. Mavens make sure that there's a tasting menu in this information age of all the ideas that are out there. The authorities are the librarians who make sure they stock and organize and
Hmm.
categorize everything. So, and I love that you asked that and that you're getting asked that, because one of the things that has occurred to me is that as the information age is speeding up with AI, consciousness is also expanding at the same rate. And I don't
Hmm.
think people can keep up with either their inboxes or their the expanding consciousness that's needed just to deal. Like, that's why I think we have a lot of emotional and mental health breakdowns. Like,
Hmm.
we had, like, even I look at like old horoscopes that I wrote like 20 years ago, and check out that hottie, or just even things that I'm like appalled
Like,
that I even
who is
wrote.
that?
Right. It was just like, it's like these are like obvious toxic masculinity, patriarchal culture
Hmm.
things that were like that I thought I was being progressive, just the way I said, like, it was a time when it was liberating for women to just like take back their sexual, I mean, not that it isn't, but
Right.
it just
But
was
no, we've
like,
all, I mean, I survived the tabloid Britney Spears era of, of
yes.
all those things and like bikini issues and this. And yeah, just, I think some of that was this forward, sexual liberation, but then there was some that was also for the male gaze and
Yeah,
not
it
really
was
for that.
kind of a mix. It
We're
was a it was
learning. We're
it was
all,
a murky cocktail there, but I think in in that era we just we've grown beyond it. Neptune went into Pisces in 2012. So many things have just
Mhm.
accelerated. The birth, Uranus and Aries, Uranus and Taurus, and just Pluto and Capricorn coming to an end. And here we are with all these capacities, but just still like, oh my God, it's almost like everything is where we want it to be, but it's almost too much. So people are kind of either defaulting into confusion and chaos, or like
Mm.
I keep meeting all these women born in the 90s who are married wealthy guys and had babies and are like miserable. I'm like, this is like 1950s, the
Mhm.
sequel. What are we doing?
The reboot
And
of this
yeah,
era.
exactly. I'm like, great on Mad Men for the costumes, not so great in your
Hmm.
real life. So I think we're living our lives as a period piece because we don't know what to do. We're overwhelmed by all the information of consciousness and healing and all this stuff. So my desire with I am is just like, let's have a simple way that you can plug
Yeah.
into just the archetype of your purpose. You can figure out how you want to express it, but just know, okay. And we have a section in the book called Astro Ayurveda. We're jokingly, because there's three
The
archetypes, kind of like
doshas.
the
Yeah.
doshas. Yeah, like if you're high on something or low on another, you can go out and consciously work in that area and then try to balance out where you're low or high too.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that. And yeah, it's interesting because I'm an 89 or born, and it's just like I
Mhm.
saw a tweet the other day that was like, hear me out, an Amish community, but we allow technology up to 1998. Like we can have like some of the tools and toys of like we'll have air conditioning, we'll have
Yeah.
light internet, but nothing too much. And I think yeah, and even in you mentioned Taylor Swift, like I feel like the word era is now people are like, this is my this era. Trends are moving really quickly. Like I'm in my domestic
Mhm.
bliss era, or I'm like in this housewifey era, or what have you. And I
Yes.
think I don't know if it like I'm so curious when Saturn's out of Pisces and we're in this Saturn Aries time of we're just seeing all these callbacks of the past just in this to use your phrase of blender, right? And
Mhm.
yeah, and like I don't know, I'm hoping like maybe some more original things come out in Saturn Aries time. Like I know
God,
we have so
yes.
much and we have so many goodies, but I think it's maybe hopefully heading towards that and not just this pining as an innovator who loves the future, not just only pining for the past.
Oh God, yes, I know. We are steeped in a little too much nostalgia with Saturn and Pisces. And well, I mean, innovators are time travelers, so we can go into another era, but we'll
Hmm.
bring it into the present or future and
Hmm.
mix those things up together, which makes it interesting. So, you know,
Yeah.
authorities would love to just like get into a time machine sometimes and just go back to whenever the most comfortable time of their life was.
Hmm. I'm curious. I want to get a little bit more into my chart because I'm
Yeah.
selfishly want to want to
Your
do.
show, you get to do that.
Yeah, but I'm curious too. So, for authorities and mavens, just give them a little spotlight and let them have a moment. I'm curious if like an authority is what's maybe like some good remediation for them maybe when they're maybe going too into their archetype, like if authority is really too stuck or if a maven is too floaty. I'm curious if there's a little
Totally.
snippet that might snap them out of it.
Absolutely. If you're an authority or someone whose chart is high on authority, then, you know, yeah, it's like our best traits can become our worst traits. So
Mm,
when you're getting too rigid, too stuck on the rules or fearful, I want to turn your attention to a concept called loss aversion, which is when
mm,
you
mhm.
resist change and end up losing more than
Ooh,
you would if you actually took a calculated small risk. So authorities have to be careful not to stagnate.
like the sunk
And
cost sort of philosophy can maybe
yes,
seep into the authority people.
yes, yes. And, but sometimes they also need to like, they can be timid about hierarchy and pecking order, like, and not ask for what they need when really what they need is a simple step-by-step plan. So
Mm.
I have two amazing authorities on my team. Sometimes they get stuck watching me and Tali as innovators argue on a team meeting, but it's okay. They just quietly, respectfully do that, maybe turn their camera off for a second, and then
Let them
suggest, what
have
if
their
we did
space.
this? So, you know, but like it's okay to raise your hand and make a suggestion or ask for what you need. Because if an authority doesn't, it's like they just get super clenched over time
Mm.
and
I'm hearing maybe
res
like an encouragement when needed because their strength is that staying power is to disrupt at time. Like they're allowed to like
yeah.
maybe yeah, be like actually I need this or actually that was my idea or
Hmm.
I don't know. Insert your
No,
just
you're right.
here.
Absolutely. And people can freestyle away with the I am system because once you understand the archetype, you understand the authority's job is to build and sustain and maintain, but that they
Hmm.
can become stagnant if they focus only on that and they're stuck being the adult in the room, not having any fun. Like they
Uh
need to delegate. They
hmm.
need to say, hey, can I get some one-on-one time with you, innovator or maven, just to go through a list of questions, or what's the best way for me to get these questions answered so that they have what they need to go to the next step. Sometimes they can stagnate because they haven't asked for what they need for the next step. So find a
Okay.
way to get that. Um, and then mavens are just the everything everywhere all at once people.
Uh-huh.
The innovators live in the future, authorities the past. It's important. They need to know where they were so they know where to go. But the mavens are in the present. So they
Mm-hmm.
like to wear all the hats, which is fine, but sometimes they wear them all at once and it's too much of a good thing. And it's
Hmm.
like, they look like the bag lady archetype. I hate that term. It's such a terrible term, but you know what I
It's
mean.
like maybe like take one thing off. It's like what's that? Isn't that like a Coco Chanel sort of phrase? Like
Exactly.
put it all on and then remove one thing out the door.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that everything, I always make the analogy of a radio tuner that has like bass, treble,
Mhm.
echo, this and that. Like you want those tuner dials, those vertical dials, not all to be all the way up at the top at max levels. So they go on to different settings at different times. So like, mavens love to DJ and make playlists and
Mhm.
curate. You wouldn't put things of the same size. They have a really good sense of
Vibe
scale.
curators sort of thing.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. So like you wouldn't put 10 big objects out on a tablescape. You'd put a small one and a big one. So think about your life that way. Like maybe
Dimension.
you just need a yeah, touch of something or like and if you can't decide what you want to do, like break your year into quarters and give one of your passion projects the the starring role of that quarter.
I love that. Yeah. As soon as you said that, I saw this like image for mavens of like the people that always keep their laptop on the charger to a point where if you always have it charged, you need to let the batteries
It
die down
drains,
and drain
yeah.
back up. Otherwise, they're going to become dependent on the charge. And I think
That's a good analogy, yeah.
like mavens might need some of that as someone who's clearly done that. Like it's in my life where I'm like, why is this? And I have some maven qualities too, so bear
Yeah,
with
you
me.
do.
But it's yeah, I think it's like I think maybe that's where innovators and mavens have that in common is like that having that shut down time. Because authorities don't have a problem with
No, they
they're
don't. They're
like,
like on,
no, do not
off. Yep.
disturb. I'm not
Yep.
answering that question. You can eat that like the whole like law, like in France, like you can't email someone till the next day is like very authority mind.
Oh my God. It definitely instituted by an authority. Authorities are Parisian 100%.
Yeah, they're like, that's not like smoke real cigs, eat real bread, and don't call or text me. Is the
100% dinner starts at 9 and always has wine and
yes.
formal dress. Yes. Oh
And
my
we've
God.
always done it that way.
Right. And we always will.
And our grandchildren will continue this trend. As an Earth innovator, so I'm a 45% innovator, 35% Maven, 20% authority. No big deal. Just like love. I love the imagery too of your the I am report guide. It just makes me happy. I love
Thank
collage and
you. You know, I made
yeah,
it because that's what innovators do.
oh, you
So,
did you designed this?
yeah,
Oh my gosh. I'm okay.
art school.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know you guys had like all the zine and magazine. Okay, so I'm not surprised. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Curious because I loved this quote from the book too. Like, I'm not procrastinating, I'm downloading would be a bumper sticker for innovators, which I hope you do sell. Because
Ooh,
I agree. But yeah, I'm curious just looking at my report, stray thoughts, feelings, advice. I think the thing that's hard for
yes.
me as a Taurus is like I do want to do it all. Like there was like a DIY element of the innovator where I like can end up like having my hands in all the pots. And I'm curious as an earth innovator, and maybe as I'm, branching out and doing solo, I'm curious any just stray channeled advice that might
For
benefit me in this
sure. For
kind of
sure.
career path that I'm going down.
Yeah, you're the Earth Innovator, the groundbreaker, a practical, stable, and reliable anchor who builds strong foundations and establishes lasting legacies. There's 84 possible combinations when you
I
put in
saw that. I was
fire.
like, oh,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah, we have a little supplement. I'm working on a calculator for it now. But so
Oh,
again, you want to do the Astro Ayurveda of your one fire, six earth,
mhm.
two air, and four water. So I'm going to look at where that one fire. I'm going to look at where you're high, which is earth. So you're an innovator, but you come up with ideas and maybe you start building them into earth's tangible form really quickly. So some advice I would say is like, do some prototyping, like let yourself have that moment with the art supplies. Earth is also very hands-on and tangible. So like draw it. Don't just use machines. Just, get some beautiful markers and pens. Are you like a pen person? Like you have to have the pen?
I wish you could like this is why I have a background on Zoom because I'm in a art cave. I just bought watercolor pens that I'm obsessed with right now. And
Ooh,
I got these little like fine line Japanese markers that I've been trying to
yes.
I've always like worked in digital collage, but now I'm like I've been just like this year feeling the more hands-on. Like I want to draw my art for my blog because I could
Oh
sit
my
here and
God.
find the
See?
free, yeah, I could sit here and find the free use images and stuff, or I could just make something original that's my own. And then I know for sure. It's like also a business thought too, is like, well, this is literally from me. So I don't have to, you know,
Yeah, you don't
take
have
this
to. I
from,
mean, I
yeah,
love it. That's so. I mean, did I know this about you?
no,
Absolutely not. But I'm so loving that you're actually doing that because I think what will happen to you as an earth innovator is when you're in this tangible earth realm, touching the paper and the
mm,
markers and the paints, like that's when you will start downloading. You'll get
Like a
innovators need to get into,
meditative.
yeah, the flow state. And I love the idea of you making original art. And I'm not talking about Mid-Journey. No, that does not count as original art to
Yeah.
an
Well,
innovator.
I had
Yeah.
an art teacher. I went to school for photography. I got my BFA in photography. So I always did
Ah,
that realm. And I remember I went to a Bauhaus art school. So you had to do, it's like the German philosophy of like doing a little bit of
yeah.
everything. And my first class, first day of art school was drawing, and I never drew. And I remember my art teacher being like, okay, you either need to embrace your crude style or get better. And I
Oh
was
my
like,
God.
but that was good. It was like good advice because it wasn't like, hey, you don't have to throw away what you've been doing, but know that there's like, it's like kind of line drawing and childish and like, then embrace it, then play more with color. Like, if you're not going to be a photo realist, like, that's fine, but embrace, pick a lane and
Find a style, find a
find a
signature
style.
style, which is very important for innovators too, your signature style. And
Mm.
look, there's beautiful art that's crude line drawings. I mean, I buy it. So
Yeah, a little avant garde experimental.
exactly. So you're only one of the 13 planets. It's your moon is in a
Yeah,
fire sign. So,
and my chart
you know,
ruler.
your chart ruler, yep. So here we have low fire can be like, well, sometimes it's hard for you to get started, or like fire, you may like sizzle then fizzle on a passion, or I don't know if how have you experienced like
Mm.
a low, do you have any thoughts on how you've experienced low fire for yourself?
Yeah, I think it's like a two-sided thing of like wanting instant results, right? I think can be kind of fiery. It's like, oh, I lit the
Yeah.
match. Isn't this all just taking off already? And needing to like nurture and build that kind of like bonfire, right? With like the earthy elements, I think is needed. And also just like maybe it's because it's an Aries moon impulse. Like I end up starting a lot, but to a point where the finish I have trouble finishing. I will say that's my
Hmm.
tough closing is my tough suit.
That's the
But
low authority.
and it's yeah, and I think it's like, oh, but you're a Taurus, like they and I can, but it has to
Yep.
be I relate to that procrastination line in the book where it's like if I have a deadline and I know it's due this day, it will be done. But
Hmm.
all the time in between, and I heard some phrase that was probably made up by fellow procrastinators. It's like we're actually good with time management because we know exactly how to use every last minute till it's due. But I'm like, yeah, but the stress of doing that is a little less savory than I'd like it to be.
Your Taurus probably doesn't like it, but honestly, like for you as an innovator, like sometimes you just have to accept like
Mm-hmm.
actually what this is what I've learned about myself now that this is, our 21st book. We're marketing it all ourselves, of course, because innovators do that. It's like
We're gonna do it the
um
right way, and you guys,
yeah, I'm like redesigning the entire microsite that we made for it the week before because it all just kind of because I've been testing it out and seeing how people respond to it. And now it all is just coming to me in a waterfall a week before I feel that dopamine and adrenaline surge with the finish line. And so like I used to be like, oh, what's wrong with me? Why can't I ever do
mm,
this? The months and months in advance, all the digital marketing courses tell me they've given me all the templates. No, fuck that shit. I don't want to do it that way. It's
yeah,
like I'll
thank you.
do it and then I'll see it a week before. I'll be like, I hate this. And nobody likes it either. So get
Sing
like,
my song, sister. I'm
yeah,
here. I'm like gonna record this, and oh, I am recording this, but send this to my mom. Like, see, I
good.
I this was my method. It worked for me, and I think that comes. I need to dive deeper into the layout part, but even I'm curious if you relate to this as an innovator or with like object permanence, but like sometimes like people like use these bins to store your stuff or have these systems. I'm like, I need to see what I'm have. Like I need to see what I'm working
Yes.
with. I need if it's put away and gone, I'll never use it. It might as well
Yeah.
never exist again.
Yep.
Curious your relationship to object permanence as an
I
innovator.
mean, if I move this AI camera around, you'd see many a pile. You know what? I just
Oh
was
my
in the
God.
Hamptons for like at my friend's house. She lent me her little kind of 3-bedroom beachy house. So
Oh,
nice. So nice. And a fellow innovator, Virgo. Thank you, Jane. And I just surrendered to being an innovator and packed the shit out of my car. I did a couple events, but I brought 10 times more clothes than I needed. My entire podcasting studio. I bought a desktop and a laptop
Oh my
and
God.
a tablet, art supplies, food. I was like, you know what?
You're like,
Because
I'm
I'm
living
gonna
here.
go and spread out all over this house, and I'm gonna get so much done. I went in the zone. It's like I
Yeah.
just accept that this looks frightening to someone else, but I need all my stuff around me right now so that I can, because I'm about to like build a little empire in this week.
Yes.
So I don't want to be without what I need. Otherwise, I'm going to go have to buy it. So what we're touching on here is this shaming, this deep, deep
Mm.
shaming that people have gotten for not being this like atomic habits, type A, neat, tucked away in Martha Stewart bins, boring motherfuckers, you know?
Yes. Or even like, I liked the touch on like for innovators, like this idea of meal planning. I'm using air quotes if you're listening on audio, but also for me, what's unlocked a lot this summer is like, I just need motherfucking tortillas, beans, and eggs in my house. And then
Yeah.
I am unstoppable. Like
Improvise the
I'll
rest.
figure it all out later. I'm curious, do you know your human design type?
Yeah, I'm a generator,
Mm.
sacral, 6-2 sacral generator. What about you?
I'm a 5-1 splenic projector. I was just curious.
Oh, my daughter's a splenic projector, so
Yes, I'm
four,
like the
4-2.
heretic investigator or something. I'm like,
Oh,
I'm just, I want all the, especially once you are diving in astrology. I'm like, give me every system. I want to know every type I
totally.
am. Like, hit me with it. I just have one last question before we can wrap up. This is amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Y'all, I'm gonna put links to everything. Check it out. This is a fun one. It's not serious. I'm just curious. What do you think are the go-to karaoke songs for like each type? So we can
Oh,
start with the innovator. I'm curious what if they had an anthem,
oh my
what do you think
gosh.
they would get up and sing?
You know, I love karaoke. Maybe living on a prayer.
Ooh, that's I was gonna ask your karaoke
I
fan
mean,
supporter.
I have a list in my phone. I
Me
would like
too.
anything with like a woman who sounds like a man will work. Like give me
Ooh.
some Amy Winehouse or, you know,
Is that your are those your
throaty
go-to?
women, Lady Gaga. Yeah.
I love
Um,
authority. I have Cher belief. I was thinking, I'm like, I feel like Cher believe is like a good one. Because it's like a little
ooh, yeah.
unexpected. People know it. I was also just I easily kind of was thinking of authority and Maven, but innovator was getting stuck, and maybe I was just too close to home. I always do love full cardigans. I love that song. All Star
Ooh, that's
Smash
good.
Mouth feels kind of fun and like I don't know, they're kind of like clowning around a little bit on it too. Like it's karaoke. Like let's have
Totally.
we're here for
And
fun.
you're a Taurus, so like Tauruses are the musical maestro. So please throw your picks in the ring, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just riffing here. Like
Yeah, yeah. No, you're good. I talk about throaty, That's the
Cher, yes, I
Taurus way.
sometimes do strong enough, you know. So
Oh, that
that feels
Cheryl.
very authority though, in a way. Yeah.
I mean Cheryl's so good. Yeah, let's go authority. I mean, I feel like authority themes are a lot in songs. Like my first brain went to like won't back down Tom Petty, like kind of
Oh
being like that
yeah.
sturdiness.
I love that. Absolutely. Any kind of like journey kind of anthem, any big power ballad probably has an
Mm-hmm.
authority theme in it.
I feel like a lot of like authority people I now know when they get up and do karaoke, you're like, what? You had that in you? It's like, well, I've been saving it for it's the show time
Oh, we
now.
have got to do some karaoke.
I know.
Uh,
Well, like this is happening. I think even
it's
like a
definitely
rock,
happening.
Bob Seger, maybe a like obvious choice for an authority, but it
Ooh,
feels really rooted. Okay, and Mavens. I feel like this is like flowy, fun.
totally.
I
I
mean,
mean, it's a
like,
whole playlist, but Bohemian Rhapsody comes to
mm,
mind because it's like four songs in one.
I was gonna almost say like I could see them even doing like a rap song. I don't know what, but like they would just be like almost like this how quick and like they would do like Nicki Minaj Monster like verbatim. Don't even need the screen, like have it in there.
Oh, totally, totally. Yeah, that's really so true. They like, can definitely drop the rhyming skills because they're so good with words. I mean,
I was
yeah.
even thinking too, like the not escapism, but I don't know what the word is. Like this, like I was thinking of like I'm like a bird, Nelly Furtado, just this like wide open
Totally.
spaces. The chicks, like it's like I maybe even like Ray Light Madonna era. I see them in this like I don't
Yes.
know, kind of like that early woo, like when everyone was in their like
Yes. When
Paula
everyone was
bracelets.
plucking their eyebrows off and like
Hmm.
doing yoga and thought they were so deep. Like, yeah.
Hmm. Yes, the codes of music
2001
stand
too,
out.
totally. Hmm.
Well, thank you so much for coming on Star Quality. I will link everything for you guys. Please do yourself a favor and take advantage of your astrology and get the astrology advantages. Use your horoscope for personal and professional success. And thank you, Vera. It was so fun.
So fun. I can't wait to come follow us on Astro Twins on
Yes.
Instagram and tell us which one you are and if it resonates.
Yes, please. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.